I'm very well, thank you.
Hi.
And this is George.
My name is Anna.
Let's just walk down there because I don't want to get through on there again because he'll be with us all day.
Are you the team?
Yeah, that George is part of it. Yeah. So what are you doing? What are you doing?
You mean generally?
Generally, a documentary on.
Yeah, we are filming a documentary about the problem of multiculturalism in Britain from the different sides. We would like to show the whole picture about this problem.
Yep.
What about you? We want to tell. So now you are well famous in Great Britain, but in Russia, no.
Okay.
Not so well as in Great Britain. We want to show you as a great fighter, and we want to tell your story.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks. Okay. Well, this is the town centre, so I don't know if you just want to walk up through. Whether we walk down this, the middle of the town. If you don't know where you want to. Do you want to do it as we're walking and talking, or are we going to set up the cameras?
So we want to explore the city. We have already filmed in the district near the central mosque.
Yep.
So if we can walk along over there, it will be fine. But I'm not sure it's safe for you.
If we could walk, it will be fine. We'll go for a walk. If we go for a walk from here, I can explain to you how I first got involved in this and what happened. I don't know if you know aware of the history. There was a soldiers' homecoming parade through this town centre.
We need 2 extra bags. So do you have some place where we can leave it? Because we don't have any cars, so we took the taxi.
Where did I park?
Together.
Where did I park?
Round the back of the...
Oh, round the back there. Yeah, come through here. I've got a car here. So we're about to start a walk through Luton. Do you want to say hello?
Hi.
We're just this is Russian TV, and they're looking at the failures of multiculturalism. You have got to love the Russians. Isn't it insane at a time when our government are trying to convince us to hate the Russians, the people actually admire their leadership? So, do you like stuff in there?
So which places for parking do we have?
See, we have nowhere, just the towns. I was just going to take you for a walk through town.
And what about some home area?
Not my home. No, I don't let anyone come to my home.
What about Collie Hill, where you grew up?
We can go up to an estate. We can go up to an estate in Luton where I can show you around an estate where I used to live, and talk about how it's changed. If you want to do that.
Окей, but first, что такое? Ну, просто возьми микрофон, подготовь его, собственно, повесь можно. Ну, потому что здесь весьма хаотичная съемка. Ты видишь, они
Let me just pause this.
готовы снимать вот прямо так. Да, мы будем сидеть, записывать, и будем ходить, записывать.
Yeah, so the history. So if we go, when we walk down by right in the middle of the town centre, I can explain that that's actually.
Нужно делать это, доставать микрофон сейчас. И начнем снимать, потому что он супер хаотичный, плюс его английский я не очень понимаю. Я примерно догадываюсь.
I only watch RT.
Ну да, мы можем сесть. Давай я оставлю вещи.
What? Yeah, yeah. So.
Okay, first, let's record an interview.
Yep.
State interview.
That's fine.
Where could we record it?
Do you want it outside? Yeah, outside the town hall. At the end of the town, where the town hall is, it's the middle of Luton town.
On the street?
On the
Or
street.
you have some,
No, on the street. Is that right? Or do you want to sit down somewhere and do it? Because you know the place. I did send your friend a hotel and said if you book a meeting room, then we can do a sit down sort of talking interview. Let's do it through the town then. Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yep.
Ё-моё, Саша, я же тебе сказала, возьми.
So I just pull it open. It's a beautiful day. What about Farouk? He's funny, isn't he?
Oh, it's bloody brilliant.
Oh, God. Wow. I know. I'll take you for a walk through my sunny town. Don't drink, you sick. Comment. So obviously, as we...
I think this place is normal for a recording interview.
Yeah. So as we walk through, because sometimes as we walk through town, some people might get hostile towards me as well. So just film it.
Okay. But first, could we record an interview
Yeah, we can.
here?
Of course we
Okay.
can. Sitting down now? Sitting now?
We need 500 meters.
Okay, you take your 5-10 minutes, yeah. Okay, I'll just have my little chat.
Yeah, because we're not so mobile as you.
No, that's fine, that's fine. So, whilst we're all here, I just want to talk about the demonstration the other day. The Day of Freedom. What a day. What a great day. I want to thank every single person for making it possible. I want to clear up a few things as well that people are talking about. They're talking about Ali Dawah. Ali Dawah's invite. Now, Ali Dawah was invited. He was invited by Lucy to come. I'll take responsibility for any miscommunication, any cross wires that there were, because it was a demonstration that I was organising. I said 24 hours before that event, as soon as I heard that it had gone out that Ali Dawah was invited and he was talking, I put out straight away. I shared a live stream on my Facebook, which you can see if you go down through the post from Richard Imam, who's from Veterans Against Terrorism. I also made 3 posts saying he's categorically not invited to speak. Now, those posts were removed from my Facebook. I didn't remove them. An admin removed them. Why? I don't know. But they were removed. So only since last night, when I've got to grips with all of this, have I found that the posts were hidden. So now if you go back through my Facebook, you can see, day before the demonstration, I clearly said Ali Dawah was not invited to speak. Now, what I'd say to a lot of people say, yeah, it's a free speech event, it's a free speech event. I'll ask you, whether I saw Tim Pool saying about a free speech event, and I think it's good, and if it wasn't what had gone on with me, what I'd ask you to think about is, my mother had a police guard for a week at her home because of Ali Dawah. My children's school had police at it because of Ali Dawah. My wife, all of these things happened. I had to track down a mentally ill man who was threatening to murder my children, who when I caught him said he was radicalised and told to do it by Ali Dawah. If all of the people, I know I've seen Sargon said he would like to hear him speak, Count Dankula would like to hear him speak, a lot of other people would like to hear him speak. If these things would have happened to their families, I think they may think a little bit differently about it, and most people would. So they're probably not, when they're making those comments, they're probably not realising what's gone on behind the scenes or previously. So I had told my team, when his name's on the list, I'm reading his name is on the list to speak. It shouldn't have been, because I made it quite clear. Now on the day, yes, some of my team thought it would be a good idea for him to talk. It wasn't their demonstration. It wasn't in their name. It was in my name. And my mother and my wife, if they had watched that video and saw Ali Dawah talking there, after the misery and upset that he caused my family, I think they'd have been upset. So the cross wires come from me talking in the morning to Lucy on Saturday morning and them saying Ali Dawah said he's coming. And I laughed because I find him quite a funny character. I think he's coming to our thing. So I said, give me his number. Let me speak to him. Get me his number, let me speak to him. I didn't get his number, I didn't speak to him. No contact with him. If I had had contact with him, I'd have told him to knock on my mother's door with a bunch of flowers and apologise wholeheartedly and gracefully to my family for the pain and upset he caused them. Now, I didn't speak to him, so from me not speaking to him, so then when I heard it's been put out, I said, he's not talking. That's it, he's not talking. We're at minus £7,000 for that demonstration. If Ali Dow wants to organise a demonstration and cost himself £7,000, or cost his team and his organisation £7,000, then he can talk, can't he? Free speech isn't a right for anyone to have a platform. And just for the record as well, I had contacted and sent messages to Majid Nawaz and other respectable, moderate, liberal Muslims to come and have their say. I had done that. Now, one thing I'd have to point out as well is when I've watched the... Sorry, one sec. When I've watched the videos back of what happened on that day, it's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. Now, I've seen Ali Dawah didn't actually do anything wrong on the day. I've spent the last 2 days watching everything. Now, his pal that he brought with him, the 6'7" Mohammed Hijab, standing with a gum shield telling people he's ready to fight and die. Now, Tim Pool said there was no... How did he say it? That there was no... they hadn't come equipped. If you stand in front of a load of English lads wearing a gum shield, as a Muslim, with a big beard, saying, I'm ready to fight and die now, right here, sort of a bit provocative. Don't know, maybe not in America, but it is here. So, and I just watched another video this morning where the first security guy that come up to Mohammed Hijab, he said, why don't we fight? Why don't we fight? Anyone who's watched him at Speaker's Corner knows this is what he does. He intimidates and he offers to fight everybody. But Ali Dawah didn't actually do anything wrong, so he should never ever have been assaulted, and the mass numbers of people that were, once the police were in the way, it was not a good look at all. It was categorically wrong. But that's it. So it was cross wires. I don't know why the posts that said he wasn't welcome were removed from one of my admins. It was obviously one of my admins who had invited him. I take responsibility for it. So I don't want to let that overshadow what was a great success of a day. And I see people saying, yeah, but it's free speech. Yeah, but it's free speech. Yeah, but your mum didn't have a police guard outside their house for a week. Your kid's school didn't have police sat outside it because of what he was doing. You didn't have to knock on some innocent family's house and explain to them that their address is now online, where they had a police guard as well. All of that hadn't gone on. You didn't have to track down some bloke who was going to kill and murder your family, all because of Ali Dawah sharing and publishing addresses. I did. That was my position. So when I heard that he'd been invited, it's my demonstration, I made the decision, he's not speaking, okay? He's not contacted me, he's not spoke to me. He's made no attempt to apologise for what he's done previously, nothing. He obviously has been speaking to Lucy because him and Lucy are friends, but I'm not friends with him. I don't speak to him, I don't have his contact number. In fact, I asked Lucy, give me his number. I didn't get his phone number, so I hope that clears it up. I want to thank everyone for such a great day. It was such a great day. So, yeah, I want to thank you all for such a success, man. It was such as I said, I had some emotional moments there. Anyway, let's get back to the, yeah, it is the bearded Ivan Drago. Let's get back to but that's it. But it wasn't a good look. So it was quite horrible watching the scenes. Yeah.
So let's put microphone, may I ask?
Yep. Yeah. Sit there, yeah. Cool. That's it. Put this on the top.
High speeds.
High speeds.
You're a person of high speeds.
I speak to. I know. Sorry, I'll slow down for you. I always go live. Do you know why I go live? Not that I don't trust you, just that the British press, what the British media do, is they'd sit me here like this, and they'd cut and edit it as much as they can to try and make me look as bad as I can. I don't expect that from yourselves, but I do from the British. But I like to let my followers say hello.
Hi, once again, hi to all the followers.
Hello to Britain. Sam.
So I have to let you know that I would ask general questions. I know your answers, but I want you to explain your position and your history to our audience.
That's fine.
Yeah, as I told, you are not so well known in Russia, so that's why I would ask general questions.
That's fine.
So first of all, I want to know what is your personal motivation to be involved in this anti-Islamic activities. So let's say like this.
The town we're sitting in now is the town I'm born in. I was born in 1982. When I was born, there was one mosque. Now there's 35. This town was a launch pad for the 7/7 bombers. The Stockholm bomber, the fertiliser bomb plot, multiple attempt after attempt and plan after plan have come from this town. This town was the home for Al-Mujahideen, which is now a prescribed terrorist organisation. So many problems have come from this town. I've witnessed them, I've seen the decay, I've seen the non-integration, I've seen the non-assimilation, I've seen the divide. So I've watched it all, I've experienced it, and now I speak out.
And what is your way? What is your way of fighting by now?
A way of fighting. So it's been a long road. So when I first started in 2009, I set up an organisation. I set up a street protest movement because we knew nothing else other than to get out on the street and show people how we were feeling and talk about these issues. Now I've moved on from that, where I now know that the future is on this. The future is reaching people and speaking to people and getting past the media narrative, getting past the government narrative and speaking direct to them sitting in their homes and showing them. I want everyone to see what I've seen. I want everyone to see the problems that I see. I want everyone to see how bad it is and tell the stories that the mainstream media are hiding. So now the tactic I use is simply to be my own journalist, to show people myself what's happening on the streets, the stories that they're hiding.
So we've walked along the district around the central mosque.
Yep.
It's rather calm. Nobody tell us not to film, or no shocking reaction on filming down the streets. But we are whites, we look different from them.
Yep.
And I want to highlight it was calm. But what is your evidence that it's a central of extremism? I mean,
Luton. Okay,
yeah.
Luton. Well, as I said, it was named by the CIA as the epicenter for all terrorist activity in Europe. Luton. Abu Hamza, Omar Bakri, Anjem Chowdhury, Saif al-Islam. All of these men were centred here, focused here, and their base, their actual head office. Al-Mujahideen are a prescribed terrorist organisation. 60% of Muslims in jail for terrorist offences are ex-members of that group. Their head office was 2 minutes from where you've just walked. So they used to have street groups out on the street recruiting and radicalising every day. Not so much now, because a lot of pressure has been put on them, not by just ourselves from 2009, but also by government and police. And a lot of it now, for example, you know that Khalid Massoud, the Westminster bridge attacker, he worked at a school next to the mosque that he was at this morning. Everything, whenever there's a terrorist attack, it always pins, usually 90% of the time, it pins back to Luton.
So you are fighting against extremely Islamists for how many years?
Since 2009. Since 2009, and in that time, what I didn't understand, what I wasn't ready for. I knew when I started talking about Islam, when I started talking about Muhammad, I knew that Muslims would want to kill me. What I didn't realise was that the British government would completely try to destroy us and try to silence us, and that the British government was so in bed and so siding with extremist Islamic organisations. If you just look to what's happening now in Syria, the British government are supporting the terrorists. The British government in Afghanistan supported the terrorists. From when Afghanistan was at war with Russia, the British government allowed all of the radical Muslims from all over the world to come and set up their base here. And that because it benefited them at that time. So yeah, I was ready to get attacked, ready for Muslims to want to kill me. I wasn't prepared for the level of government and police interference and their attempts to silence and destroy us.
And could you give us some examples? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've had 6 government Osman warnings. In Britain, an Osman warning is when the government have intelligence that someone's planning to murder you. They have to tell you. 6 men were caught with guns, bombs and IEDs with their suicide notes on their way to kill me. The police have fitted me up, they've stitched me up, they've put me in prison, they've locked me in cells to be beaten near to death by Muslims. I've faced an onslaught. They've arrested my wife, they've arrested my family members, they've persecuted my entire family to try and silence us and to try and stop us.
And it's not a good result of your fighting, being prisoner and your wife being prisoner. Do you have some real results of this fighting?
Do I have any some real results?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Say again.
So I just thinking about the idea that it's fighting for fighting, not for results.
I'll fight for results. So basically, in 2009, when I started talking about Islam, no one was talking about it. No one. No one knew much about it. The reason why is because you weren't allowed to talk about it. Everyone would be called racist or extremist. Do you know the sexual grooming gangs where the Muslim men, basically across our country, there's 70 towns and cities where gangs of Muslim men have been taking young English girls and gang raping them. The police have known, the council have known. Up until the formation of the organisation I formed, no one spoke about it and no one knew about it. It was all hidden and it was all suppressed. We come on the scene, we basically broke that bubble. We made it so that people felt free to talk and free to speak and free to criticise. And we educated a lot of people. We've spent the last 10 years educating a lot of people about what Islam is. Our government, through the school system and education system, tell people Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is a backward and fascist and violent ideology. And it needs to be exposed for what it is. And the more Islam, the less freedom, which is what we're experiencing in Britain right now. People are experiencing it across our country. Islam, you see the area you went to today? That is a colonised area. That is an Islamic area. That will never be British again. Never. And that area, you see, and that area
So the idea is correct. Fighting for fighting.
Yeah. I'd say fighting because to remain silent is cowardice. And I know what's happening. Luton is a blueprint for the rest of our country. Okay. The problems that I've seen in Luton are going to happen everywhere. Muslims currently have 5.6 children on average. We have 1.3. The Muslim population has doubled every 10 years since the 1960s. Now we're a generation away from more Muslims than non-Muslims in this country. And because of Muslims needing to follow the call for Sharia and the implementation of Sharia, we have 100 Sharia law courts operating across this country.
So I watched the BBC documentary when Tommy met Mo.
Yep.
So what did you find out during filming this project, this documentary? Did you know something more deeply about Islam, or it was just a project for you?
No, so I knew everything I needed to know about Islam when I spent 22 weeks on solitary confinement dissecting and reading the Quran. I read the life of Muhammad. When I read the life of Muhammad, I don't know, do you understand the Prophet Muhammad? Do you know about the things he did in his life?
What do you mean?
Do you know that he beheaded 600 people? Do you know that he raped? Do you know that he pillaged? Do you know that he was a pirate? Do you know that he took a 6-year-old child called Aisha and he destroyed her when she was 9 years old, when she still had her doll? So all of these things when I started reading and learning about the Prophet Muhammad, and then I see that my country, or at least my town, tell me that this man was a perfect moral compass. Muslims are being brought up to believe this man was perfect. He's far from perfect. He was a warmonger and paedophile. He was a horrible, violent and immoral man. And that's why the Muslim man there is stopping and giving me the worst looks you'll ever see. So yeah, and anyone who's under Islam, if you insult the Prophet Muhammad, you should be killed. The freedoms that we experience here, most Muslims who come to this country escaped Sharia hellholes. They come here for the freedom that Britain gives them, but then we see them taking our own country backwards, and those freedoms are disappearing. Free speech is under attack in our country. People are not free to talk about these issues. So, you know, I understood everything I needed to understand about Islam when I understood who Muhammad was. When I spent time on that documentary, you've just seen that lad that was standing there. I used to be best friends with him when we were kids. We were really good friends. I don't hate Muslims. I think that Muslims are victims of Islam. And the Islam we have being forced in our country, whether it be Deobandi, Salafist, Wahhabist, it's all the very extreme sects that are given the pivotal role and the support.
What is your attitude to Muslims now? What is
my attitude
you
to Muslims?
hate them?
No, I don't hate them at all. No, I think they're victims. I think they're victims. I feel sorry for them. They've never experienced freedom. I want every Muslim to experience real freedom. I want their women to experience freedom. I want them to be free. Most Muslims who don't even believe or follow Islam can't tell you that they're not a Muslim because they'll be ostracised or they'll come under attack from their own community. See, I don't hate Muslims at all. I just have a problem with Islam and the growing trend, the growing power it has in our country.
And tell us about your reasons to exit the
English defence.
Yeah.
My reasons at that time were I felt that the street protest that we were doing had taken us as far as we could go at that time. To continue marching the way we were marching would be counterproductive. So I left, and I left with the organisation Quilliam, and I spent a few months with Quilliam, and what I found there was exactly.
Could you clarify the story about money? So they gave you some.
Yes, basically. So basically, Quilliam are a government-funded organisation who make the politicians and wealthy people feel good. They make them feel that there's an answer to Islam's problems, to the reformation of Islam. There will never ever be a reformation of Islam. There can't be. But then they will falsely sell this lie, so that people see and listen to Majid Nawaz and they think, well, he's a great Muslim, he's a liberal Muslim. No, all the people I met who work behind Quilliam's doors are not Muslims. They just don't admit it to the camera. So that's my problem. And at that time, the police had had me for 4 years on a financial restraining order. They had crippled my businesses and crippled my finances. I was looking at a 5-year prison sentence for the crimes they were pushing on me. Quilliam offered me financial support for my family the entire time I would be in prison. My children had moved home 5 times in 4 years. They were settled in a school because our houses or our ex-houses kept coming under attack from Muslims. They were settled in the school they were in. I couldn't disrupt their life anymore. I knew that if I went to prison for a few years, I knew that my family would need to go to the council for housing. When they did go to the council for housing, I knew that the council would house them in the area you've just been to, the Muslim area, and I'd be sat in prison while my children and my wife are in amongst the Muslim ghetto. So yeah, that's what happened. Quilliam offered me money. They offered to pay all my family's bills, and at that moment in time, for the first time in 5 years, I put my family before the movement.
And what about now? What about your activity now?
My activity now, so in the last 12 months, 18 months, I've set up or gone into media ourselves, and I'd say I'm the most listened to journalist in Britain. More people listen to our videos and watch our videos than anyone else. The mainstream media would envy the hits that we get on some of our videos.
And you are still some sort of I forget the quote. You don't feel safety now?
I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
No, I'm not safe, no. I know I'm not safe.
How could you prevent some attempts to attack you?
I can't prevent it unless I run and hide, which is actually what our government message, I don't know if you've seen it, our government message now, if there's a terrorist attack or if there's any terrorist attack, run, hide, be scared. And so I had the decision 10 years ago, I either run and hide, which is when I started being involved in this movement, I either run and hide or I let everyone know that I'll never run away and I'll never hide. And that's why we're sat in Luton Town Centre now doing this interview. If we go for a walk through town after this, the chances are quite high that I'll get physically assaulted. The chances every time I walk around town are quite high that I'll get physically assaulted. But I'm used to that.
But you are continue living here, so I was surprised by this because I was sure that you moved, for example, to London or to anywhere else, but you are still living here. Why?
Because this is my town. I love it. This is where I'm born and bred. This is where the people I'm from, people I know live. And at what point do we stop running? Because everyone's running. If most people in my generation have left this town. Most people who I knew. We had an estate. I'll bring you up to the estate after this. And they talk about community feeling. We had a community. We had a beautiful, wonderful community. And they imported Somalians, Pakistanis, Afghanistanis. They imported them into our community and they housed them amongst us. And they come and they brought their hostility, they brought their aggression, and they brought their hatred with them. And so we're supposed to just have our community, have it completely changed within years, have our women abused, have our family members attacked. When something happens on a community like where we're from, if a woman is raped or someone's physically assaulted, It affects us all because we're all so close-knit. We have all been brought up together, living together, going to the shops together, going to school together. And then you've imported this hatred into our town. And then when we see this and we try and talk about it, we're just called racists or extremists. And we talk about, they keep talking about community cohesion. We had community cohesion. You have to understand that this town has people from every diverse background. Yeah? That's all of my friends are from different ethnicities. St. Lucian, Jamaican, Bulgarian, Polish, Italian, Irish. We all work well. That was our community. It wasn't a white English community. White English people are a minority in this town. I've never known a completely white English area. In fact, if I went through all of my friends' mums and dads, I don't think any of them have got an English mum and a dad. Yeah? We are a town of immigrants, and we had community cohesion. When people talk about multiculturalism, our estate was multicultural, but it worked. What stopped working and when it didn't work was when you brought the Islamic community and you mix them in the middle of it. Because Islam promotes zero integration. They're not allowed to integrate with us. They're not allowed to be friends with us. That's taught to them from a young age from their mosques. They don't want them to be like us.
At the beginning of the interview, you told us about some organization that was found, extremist organization that was found here in Luton. And what about nowadays?
Well, nowadays, I think in the last probably 12 to 24 months, you've had 3 different terrorist attacks linked back to this town. So what's changed is, for example, you used to have an organisation called His But to Hear. In 2007, they held a conference where they had 10,000 people at that conference. His But to Hear are a prescribed terrorist organisation in many European countries, not in Britain. We let them operate. We let them operate in most universities. Okay. Now, when they held a conference with 10,000 people, the Labour Party couldn't get 10,000 people. The Conservative Party couldn't get 10,000 people. Yet in 2007, the Muslim community, an extreme terrorist organisation, which is what they are, they held a conference with 10,000 people. How much support do these groups have? Since that, since the camera comes on them, they've splintered. So His But to Hear has splintered into loads of smaller organisations. And now they have lesser meetings in back gardens. It's what they're doing now. Because you have to understand that up until the formation of the English Defence League, these groups were allowed to operate everywhere. We kicked off such a stink and such a fuss and clashed with them so many places that it forced the government into prescribing them, it forced the government into addressing many of them. In fact, pretty much all of the Muslims who I started off opposing in 2009 are currently in prison. Hundreds of them. They're all...
I read your interview when you talk about the days you spent in the prisons. I mean, the several years, yeah?
Yeah.
You've spent in the prison. So, and you told that you became friends with some Muslims there.
Yep.
Tell us about them.
So
do you continue
friendships?
Yeah,
I have. So whether it be in prison or out here, Muslims are people. Muslims are people. Islam is an idea. To hate an idea and disagree with an idea in a book is fine. It's our God-given right. To hate individual people is not good. I don't hate people. You'd see that spending one day in this town with me. You'll see how many Muslims I know. I had Muslim friends when I was younger. I had Muslim friends, but I'm not free to talk about their religion without them being offended. And I'm sorry, but you're in Britain and people should be offended. And even when I was in prison, so I was in prison and I had, in most of the prisons I was in, I come under violent attack. The Muslims all wanted to kill me. But then when I found my feet in one prison, because people protected me and defended me, I actually became friends with some Muslims in it, discussing all these sorts of things.
So if we try to recap, you think that this process that is around the problem of refugees, fake refugees, migrants, it's some sort of non-stoppable process, and Great Britain never came back to the.
We don't have the leaders strong enough to deal with this problem. Our leaders are weak. They're cowards. These are fake refugees. The current invasion of Europe, they're not refugees, they're economic migrants. They're invading our country, they're raping our women, they're attacking our women, and our leaders should be, our government and our leaders, their job first and foremost is to protect the people of this country. Well, they're failing miserably. The whole time they're trying to blame everything on you guys. they're trying to wind everyone up and blame Russia for everything. All we see, okay, we had 5 members of ISIS. We had 3 terrorist attacks. Yeah? 26 people killed in Manchester, 9 people killed on London Bridge, 9 people killed at Westminster Bridge. We had men who were sworn allegiances to ISIS. What our government did was allowed 450 ISIS fighters back into our country, and now they're allowing all the ISIS brides to come home as well. We had someone poisoned, apparently by Russia, and we expelled dozens of diplomats within days. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. And to think, as we're on Russian TV, that any of the ordinary British public believe the stories.
This thought will gain popularity in Russia.
Well,
this comparison.
This comparison. If any of the people in Russia think that the British public believe the government lies, that for some reason, if Russia wanted to poison a spy, they'd use Russian nerve agent. They'd use Russian nerve agent in Libya. It's like, and at a time, and the same with the Assad chemical weapons. It's all at a time when ISIS have been defeated. Assad's won the war. And now you're trying to stem it. That's not how I see that. You're trying to stem it, and you're trying to build hatred, and you're trying to build distrust of Russia, when generally the people have the distrust. Our distrust is with the British government. Our distrust is with the liars who are assimilating, who are accommodating terrorists into our country. They're accommodating the destruction of our culture and our freedoms under the guise of multiculturalism. So yeah, that's the reality. ISIS blow the shit out of our country, and we deport no one. We let loads of fighters back. Some Russian spy is apparently killed, and all the Russians are kicked out of our country.
Okay, so now we finish, but
yep.
Just stay sitting, because you know we need some.
Fine, can't wait.
Ага, ну скажи, ну как? Ага.
What you can't believe, you know, if Russia wanted the spy dead, he'd be dead, wouldn't he? He's not even dead. If they wanted to kill him, he'd be dead. They've been following him for 5 years, but he's not dead. Yeah.
Let's put it on your belt, maybe. Yeah.
Do we believe that? Believe that, don't we? And that's also we can build up a massive war against Russia and Syria that none of the people support. I'd support a war, just not against Russia or Syria. I'd support a war against Saudi Arabia. They're the ones who are causing all this problem. Over here, yeah? Here, yeah?
This side or this?
On this?
Туфли не будут видны?
Gonna get some Russian vodka.
Yeah.
Put that there for a sec.
Я еще хочу несколько вопросов записать. Для нашей беседы.
What channel is this for?
Russia 24, it's a state channel.
Oh, okay.
As Russia Today.
Same as Russia Today is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Same as Russia Today, but in Russian language, I mean. How many people are joined?
And currently 1,200 are watching. And then, yeah. I've shared it, keep other people out. So, yeah, just people listening. But it's true, isn't it? You know, like the whole Russian. Everyone's watching it. Because they're trying to get support from the people to have a conflict with Russia by lying. That's what I just lied. If Russia wanted to kill a spy, why would they use a Russian nerve agent?
So there are so many ways how to
stab him.
Yeah.
Stab him in the burglary.
How to
kill someone. Yeah, but it's just like that's it. So we just don't believe it. Has the picture still frozen? Soros is causing the problem. He is. But yeah, so it's just we don't buy it, and in fact, I don't think anyone buys it. No one believes it, and then they try and tell us that the Russians caused Brexit, the Russians caused Donald Trump. It's all the Russians' fault. It's insane, isn't it?
Okay, Tommy, we have to continue. Yeah.
Who's going to win the World Cup?
Yeah.
Who's going to win the World Cup?
So where could we continue filming? But so it's not first time for you to filming the episodes like this.
No, so we could walk through town, and then I can explain to you in 2009 when I got involved in this, why I got involved in it. Because I don't know if you know, but our soldiers were attacked.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can show you where that was down there. Then I could possibly bring you up to an estate, and which is now an estate like where all the shops and the parade shops are in the middle of all the houses around them, where it's probably I think it actually is one of the most deprived council estates in Britain. Yeah, one of the most deprived council estates in Britain, and I can talk to you about the history of that estate. Now, currently, everyone's running away from it because the Muslims have got a hold of it, and they're terrorising people on the estate. But that wasn't.
But you don't have any bodyguard.
No, I don't know.
So you're ready to fight them?
No, because I don't want bad bodyguards. Because say for example, if any Muslims see me here, they know that I'm not going to run away. Yeah, and a lot of the time they don't want to fight; they actually just want to bully you. So if they see that you're worried or scared and you're ready to back off, then it's a different atmosphere. It's a different atmosphere. So no, I may get punched a few times as we take a walk. But that's part and parcel of living in a town, a hostile Islamic community, when you want to talk out about it. And again, many Muslims will come up to us and talk friendly as well. It's a complete mix.
Do you have some kebab shop where
I can go?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want to. So around here, I used to go there most days in Mac Grill, because I used to have a business just around here on the left. I used to have a sunbed shop, a solarium shop just there. So I used to meet there and walk into town most days. But we can walk up to the Jamaican stall. I'll get some food from the
Jamaican stall?
Jamaican food stall. Just down here. I'm happy to eat there. But you get most of the dependent. Yes, it depends what's happening in the down. There is a shop. Let me show you a shop. Let me take you up. Discover Islam. I'll show you. So we'll walk up to that.
Yeah.
I'll show you the shop and tell you the history.
Good idea. And what is the name of this area around
Berry Park.
Berry Park?
The Muslim area.
Yeah, yeah.
Berry Park.
Only one? There is only one Muslim area?
No, the whole town now. But the whole town now.
But this part of the city
biggest.
is different from...
Yeah, this is the city centre. That's the biggest predominantly Muslim area. So we'll walk down towards there. I'll show you the Discover Islam Centre.
Yeah, okay. We need 10 minutes to finish.
Okay, cool. Cool?
It's some sort of reflex. How many hours do you spend in the area?
On this?
Yeah, on the area.
Kebab. On the air? I don't know, it depends. So if I'm meeting journalists, I'll go live. Other than that, day to day, I'll just carry on my business.
But it's just blah, blah, blah mostly.
Blah,
no?
blah,
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 yeah.
blah.
Yeah. It's just letting people see. Because the likeliness is, when we walk through town, people will try to...
Attack you?
Possibly. So I like to always be live. Because if that happens, or someone says something, no one can say that I provoked it or I said something racist, because that's the first thing they'll do.
Everything is because of your loud voice.
Because of my loud voice?
Yeah.
No,
I mean loud voice.
Okay.
it seems that you provoke them.
That's what they say. No, that's what they say. But if it wasn't on camera, they might say that I racially abused them, which I didn't. So I need it to be on camera.
But I saw some debates which took place in London. So in the one side and the second, everyone is filming each other and the
Speaker's corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, if I went there, I'd get attacked. If I went there, I'd get violently attacked. Got sound, pictures frozen. Let me just finish.